And I want everyone to know, trust me, it's so possible. You can have hundreds, you can have 1,000 followers. It doesn't matter. Believe in what you do. Be yourself, because people, they'll love you when they see the love you have. And yes, the fear is going to come in. Can't ignore it. Can't avoid it. But you just have to tell yourself that I'm just going to keep on keeping on. I love the items I make, and I will find my tribe.
Welcome to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. I'm Tori Mystic. As a dog mom lifestyle expert, blogger, and business owner, I love talking to other women in the pet industry and sharing their advice with you every week. Sit, stay, and listen to the latest episode. In this episode, I'm sharing a delightful conversation with Leda Akyuz about her journey to grow her dog accessories brand, Woof Wonder. If you ever get stuck in a comparison trap or have anxiety about how fast or slow your business is growing, this conversation is going to get you unstuck. Leda and I talk about a bunch of forbidden topics like fear, money, and where to find inspiration without feeling like a copycat. There are so many inspirational quotes that you can pull from this episode, but one of my favorites is, "It's not for the feed." How you run your business is real life. It doesn't have to be perfect to fit on your Instagram feed. How great is that? If you'd like to connect with more dog-obsessed women who love to talk business, join us in the Wear, Wag, Repeat Labs Facebook group. There are about 700 women in there, and we would love to have you join us. Just go to Facebook and search for Wear, Wag, Repeat Labs, and I'll see you in there. Leda Akyuz was born in Istanbul, grew up in Michigan, and studied psychology in college. For years, she worked in what she describes as soul-sucking corporate tech jobs. That is, until an 8-week-old French bulldog puppy named Handsome arrived in her life. His huge personality and zoomy-filled antics inspired Leda to be creative again. Prior to working in tech, she had dreams of being an illustrator, but life with Handsome took her in a different direction. Leda launched her dog accessories brand Woof Wonder Co. to bring fun and functionality to your dog's life with quirky, colorful products that are durable enough to be used for years to come. Welcome, Leda.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Good. Yeah, I'm so excited to hear about your story, and your brand is just so beautiful and Handsome is so cute. So I'm really excited to hear about your story. So tell us a little bit about, maybe we can go back to these like soul-sucking corporate jobs that you mentioned, and kind of how you realized that it was soul-sucking and that there were other options. Mm-hmm. Like, how did you even realize that?
I that's my favorite question of all time, because I know many creatives are in this situation right now. They're at a gigantic corporation. They're just a number, and they come home at night and they make or they create or they illustrate. So I started the exact same way. I have, again, my degree is in psychology, but I have about a decade of content management experience. So I work on people's website. And by people, I mean like the major credit card companies, the top 3 universities in the country, top retailers in the country. I've worked on all their websites. And while I'm quote unquote good at the job, it's not creative enough. You have projects, you finish them, you move on. And
you probably had no creative input or control on those things. Yeah,
exactly. I was always on the marketing team basically, but as a content manager. So I wasn't making graphics. I wasn't even writing copy, which it would be the fun creative part, but you're exactly right. And when I get home, I would just be so exhausted in a way. And I kept thinking, so time passed, I was working through those in a decade. Handsome comes into my life and things start to really change because I delve deep into the French Bulldog community. I make friends online that are real friends. Like we actually text and things like that. And I couldn't shake the feeling of something coming up. I found myself illustrating again. I found myself playing with color again. And slowly I thought, what if I could make things? Like, what if I could actually make things? And, there was a joy that I was connecting to it that hadn't come to me in years. And I just kind of rolled with it. But I'm also a very practical and pragmatic person. So I thought, okay, create it. And then we've got real life. Like, let's blend those together in a way where you can actually pay your bills, actually pay your rent, and not, for lack of a better word, be a starving artist. How can you do this and truly make a living? And it took years. And that's what I want to also talk about, the real life.
Yes.
Of this.
Yeah. I love that so much. I just was writing some content and some scripts for my business where I was like, it took me 8 years to get to where I am now. There's no sexy story. There's no overnight success. Or not really even a rags to riches, I don't have any of those exciting, stories that you would see in a movie. And so, but I think it's important to tell people like the reality of what it is. So many people have an idea and they never start. And then even fewer people have an idea and they start and then they actually follow through with it for more than like a couple months or something. Right. So I think, those of us who have stuck it through, it's important to tell those stories, because I think people expect an overnight success. They expect to get 10,000 followers in a month and all these exciting things. And that's not really the reality of it.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that. And that's why I connect to your posts so much, because it's like I wrote them. And I was like, oh my gosh, there are other women who literally walk down the same path, and you can't allow yourself. I even wrote a note to myself, like, don't be fooled by viral culture. It seems like every business out there, they go viral in the first 3 weeks of opening, or and this has to do with the fear too, connecting it. When you start your business, and I hope it's okay for me to just
dive into
this.
Yeah. So everyone who's listening, we kind of outlined like 3 topics to talk about today, and they are fear, money, and inspiration. I mean, talk about like triggering topics. So let's talk about the fear component first.
Let's do it. So I am a naturally anxious person. I can find the problems in anything. So when I decided I'm going to take this plunge, that was me, sorry, clapping my hands. I'm going to take this plunge. I planned for minimum a year. And I knew I was ready to take the plunge and start planning. 2 things. Again, I couldn't shake the feeling. And 2 is the planning. I felt whenever I would come home from work, I was doing the planning. I was locking down the socials, making the accounts, even socials that I don't even have, locking down those names, starting my branding, starting to order supplies, building slowly. And basically, the fear was still there, of course, but you have to just keep it going. You have to kind of make this promise to yourself of, okay, 3 to 6 months, because I work in little chunks like that, or little nuggets of action, and maybe it'll help others for it not to seem daunting. And then the second also kind of thing that swings in is viral culture. Mm-hmm. And the fear also comes in from, wait a minute, I've been doing this for 4 weeks and I'm not viral. I don't have 10,000 followers. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. And I can't tell you how many times I thought it. I still have moments where it comes in and I'm thinking, well, maybe it's not good enough and I've been doing this now for, I want to say 2.5 years. And I can only imagine how difficult it is for someone just starting.
Yes.
Because I feel like the viral things are at a peak. Everyone is going viral. But I also want to say as someone who did go viral, I actually did go viral on TikTok. It's not what it seems.
I was just about to say the same thing because I also had one video go viral on TikTok and didn't do anything for me.
Yeah. And I hear it from my small business friends too. Cause they would say after I went viral, I wish I would. I was like, trust me. I got orders, but then once the craze wears off, what are you going to go viral every week? It's right. You have to get right back to it.
Yeah. And you're right. It's like you see all these people who are like, I went viral on TikTok, and then they just show their label, their printer for like their mailing labels, just rolling out like hundreds or thousands of labels. And you're like, well, I got 1 million views. Nobody ordered from me. Like, what did I do wrong? And it's just, it's a terrible comparison trap.
Exactly. It's so insidious, isn't it? It kind of seeps into you when you're thinking about it. And well, you do have to be present on social media, but then you happen to see this. And I want anyone listening to know you don't have to go viral. You don't have to have 10,000 followers. If I can be really real, I have less than 10,000 followers. I've been doing this now for 2.5 years. I even went through a rebranding. I was called something completely different. I used to sell different products at the beginning, but my products now are in, I lost count, maybe over 40 stores across the country. I have orders coming in. I have my Shopify. I have my Etsy. I would call that a massive success.
Yes.
And I want everyone to know, trust me, it's so possible. You can have hundreds. You can have 1,000 followers. It doesn't matter. Believe in what you do. Be yourself, right? Just because they'll love you when they see the love you have. And yes, the fear is going to come in. Can't ignore it. Can't avoid it. But you just have to tell yourself over and over, maybe, that I'm just going to keep on keeping on. I love the items I make. I love being creative, and I will find my tribe. Yeah. Not everyone has to buy your stuff, but your tribe will love your products.
Yeah. Well, and I really love what you said about breaking it down into like 3 or 6 months. Yeah. I do quarterly plans. I have a whiteboard, which people who follow me have probably seen this on my Instagram stories. I write out 9 goals for each quarter. And it's right in front of my face all day, every day.
I love that.
And it's so much more, I definitely do have bigger aspirations and dreams and goals, but I can't put those on this board because it's overwhelming and it gives me anxiety. And so it is so much better to just do a 3-month goal.
Exactly. And I love that. You hit the nail on the head. If you're thinking about the gigantic picture, you're going to feel like you're drowning. And if you just break it down, it's so manageable. Get your supplies, make 1 or 2 items at a time. You don't have to release entire collections or, entire, I don't even know.
Yeah. You don't need you don't need 100 products,
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You can build your catalog over time. And again, like the people that connect with you, they'll stay with you, and so that's why yeah, sorry. I just want people to know that I feel so strongly about this because I went through it. And I know there are people listening out there who are in this exact same boat. And maybe they were like, oh, I can't, or they just needed a tiny little nudge. Cause I'm a regular girl. I'm a normal person. Like you said, I didn't come into a windfall of lottery money to make this. I worked, and actually that segues. I didn't mean to, but that segues.
I know this is so perfect. Well, so I was just going to say, so if someone is like, I'm listening to you, Leda and Tori, like, I get it. I'm not going to be an overnight success. That's fine. But like, I got to pay my bills. And if I'm just starting off with launching one product at a time or something like that, how am I going to survive? Yeah. So do you have any advice for people on how to get through the money side of things?
I sure do. And it's not a pretty answer, but it's a very real answer that I am currently doing. So I feel like this is one of the most important topics. And sometimes in social media, people don't exactly tell you what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you.
Let's be real here.
Let's be totally real. And this is literally my life right now. So as you know, I have a decade of my experience doing content management work. And I also do contract work on the side when I get headhunted as I feel so silly saying that. But I do. And so companies find me because they see my experience. And if they offer me basically a contract, even 3, 6 months, however long, and they need help, I will accept it. I'm doing one right now. So don't ever be embarrassed to do a side gig. I'm not even calling it a hustle.
Yeah.
Do a side gig.
I actually hate that term, side hustle.
I'm so over it. I'm so over the hustle culture thing. It's making all of us exhausted.
I think when I'm calling myself now, and I just was talking to someone because we're multi-passionate. So multi-passionate entrepreneur. This whole side hustle, I just don't like that word.
I love it. I love that. And that's actually, you're the first person that I've heard that from. So I'm going to tell
multi-passionate entrepreneur.
Multi-passionate. Yeah. And I do it because I do need to fund new collections. And when I'm inspired to create something new, I don't want to stifle that by saying, oh, I don't have the funds to do that right now. And so, yeah, I do contract work on the side. I enjoy doing it because I don't moan about it, because I know this is allowing me to create new items. And so you really have to think about it that way. Don't say like, oh, I need to do something else. You should never be embarrassed. You need to work at a coffee shop. You need to basically write copy online, or I don't know, do a gig from Fiverr anywhere. Please go ahead and do that, because many people are.
Yes.
Like you're not the only one.
You know, I went to a museum exhibit near me a couple years ago, and it was a photographer exhibit, and I think it might have been Richard Avedon, but I can't really remember who. It was a fashion photographer from like back in the day. And the whole exhibit was like he would get booked by Vogue or Harper's Bazaar or something like that to go to Morocco and shoot like a fashion thing and for the magazine. And then he would use that trip and that plane ticket and all like whatever he was getting paid to do that to go fund his own. He would go do like documentary style photography and follow, Bedouin tribes around and that kind of stuff. And creative people in all of time have done this. You need to have something, we all want to pursue our creative passion. And it's okay if that creative passion is not making you 6 figures or whatever.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. And I feel like I wish we could shout this from the mountaintop for everyone. How many people have, hundreds of thousands in the bank? You have to just do a job, and there's no need to be embarrassed. There's no need to be like, oh, I can't, like no one needs to know that I can't.
Right. No one will take me seriously if people found this out,
You're a real person. And in fact, I really look up to people that do that, because you are juggling a lot of things, and I can see your passion for doing what you love, because you're doing so much for it. And I do it like there's no shame. There's no shame in the game. And that's that. Yeah. Artists
I do it too. And it's like, I kind of used to like hide the other things that I did for years. And then I started posting about it, and people are like, that's really cool. Or they have more respect for what you do, or they're more interested, or they kind of get to know you more as a person. Exactly. Because we can't really, I could not do just one thing.
I feel the same way. If you're multi-talented, multi-passionate, why not? There's a person who needs your talents, whether it's in your business or outside of it. And this, again, it links together with the fear, right? There are people seeing, businesses go viral, and they're like, wait a minute. Well, I'm also working a side job, and well, I guess they don't have you
would be so surprised how many pet industry brands, especially because that's the world I look at, how many of those people, it's not their full-time job, or, they have some other way of funding it, or the income they make from it's not important because of other elements in their lifestyle. But you never know. You just never know.
Exactly. And that's why I think I love that we're talking about it, because I hope
it's such a forbidden topic. So
it's like we have to whisper about it. Like, so I'm so glad we're putting it out there, because this is real life. It's real life. It's not for the feed. It's to help others, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. It's not for the feed.
Exactly. It's not for the feed.
Yeah. That's so great. Well, okay. So our third, we promised everyone 3 topics. So our third one is inspiration. Your products at Woof Wonder are so colorful and bright. And how do you stay inspired? Because looking at social media, maybe you're working on a rainbow design and then you see someone else comes out with it right before you do, or something like that. How do you stay inspired and not get overwhelmed by all the competition?
Oh, that's such a good question. It's okay. So there's good weeks and bad weeks, right? So it's so difficult. For example, I'm releasing spring in 2 chunks. And I say chunks all the time, but, I was inspired because my entire branding, and even me, myself, I always want to be positive, upbeat, happy, and just encouraging and welcoming. And I want Woof Wonder to be that. It's kind of the feeling you get when there is a dog in your life that takes you on these wonderful adventures, these trails and these parks and beaches and the funny toys. It's that all-encompassing feeling. So I get my inspiration from that emotion, but also some tangible things. So I often go to Pinterest. I often go to creativemarket.com. It's a fantastic resource.
Yes. Well, I love Creative Market. What do you look at on there? Because it's like so much.
I love it. So I just basically search, oh my gosh, I search, I think usually on the main banner, they'll have either a featured artist or this and this. I'll just click it. And then 5 minutes later down the rabbit hole, I'll find something where I go, oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Think about the patterns or think about those colors, and I'll save it into a little Pinterest board. And so the tiniest random little things, whether it's, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the word, multiple colors all together, or a pattern that I've never seen before. And then I'll save it and I'll maybe change 2 colors around. And then another thing is I live in Chicago, so there's a lot of amazing graffiti in my city. Yeah. So the colors there and this one is very, very recent, but Fashion Week. So in New York, Fashion Week happens. We all know it, but I take notes of the textures, the colors, the patterns that are happening, and I'll just kind of roll with it. And I'll go to just local fabric stores, Spoonflower, which is the big fabric, superstore online.
Yes, right.
And I'll just explore that. And, some might work and get tossed to the side. Some might be winter or fall. So it's kind of a smorgasbord of inspiration, but Pinterest, Creative Market, walk around your city, check out what the big fashion houses are doing, what's in right now, and you will have ideas for months and months and months.
Yeah. And I think it's all about like the ideas and the inspiration, and not necessarily worrying about being on trend, but just like, you don't know where that inspiration is going to take you. I put on a jacket the other day, and in the pocket was a leaf that I had picked in the fall because I really like the color of it.
Yes, yeah, I love that.
And I'm like, I don't know what I was going to do with this information, but I just wanted to hold on to that color. It was just such a pretty pinkish kind of color. I just liked it.
I love, and that's exactly how those little bits of inspiration hit me. I'll see a color, I'll see a weird pattern. And you mentioned this, what about other brands who are using rainbows, or Chevron was the thing, I think, like 2 years ago.
Yes.
I'm careful to, obviously, everyone's going to use rainbows, right? I love them too. But if I see everyone using rainbows, I try to not use it. Even though I love it, because I feel like I always want to offer something where everyone's like, oh, I've been seeing rainbows on my feed constantly, but this has got me stopped in my tracks. What is this now? So,
it's like you go down that rabbit hole of like, what's after the rainbow? You know, there's like a unicorn and there's a rainbow and there's a cupcake. And then like, what's after that? And like, what could you be that's like the next iteration?
Exactly. And it's hard. It's not easy to do, but my notes on my phone is just like an endless paragraph of just random 1 or 2 words. But yeah, it's important to kind of take note and just be like, okay, am I going to do rainbow because everyone's doing it, or do I actually like it? Will my customers like it? You know, make it you. Don't, try not to stray away from something that doesn't feel authentically you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like not many people say it, but you are your brand. It's you. It's your baby. And so you don't want to show people something where you're just like, I hope you guys like it. You want it to feel natural and feel you. So yeah.
Yeah.
it's just a process.
It is a process. And I think this is such a good, like, full circle, is that like, it takes a long time. You you might not be an overnight viral success on your account. You might not overnight get a great idea. But I think it's so important to like still pursue whatever you're doing. So like with you making harnesses and leashes and all these kinds of things, there's like a whole technical side of that that you got to figure out. So maybe the first few collections aren't like your dream pattern or print, because you still got to figure out like, how do you ship it? How much is it going to cost to ship it? There's all these things. And like, it doesn't have to be perfect the first time.
Thank you. If I could applaud so loudly, that's exactly. Thank you. And those things do take time to figure out. So you have to be gentle with yourself. Unless you graduated with a PhD in business, like these things are learned and they take time. And if I can also say one thing, mistakes are your best friend. I know people don't want to make mistakes. You want to do everything right the first time. For every mistake I've made, I have learned 10 lessons. Mm-hmm. So, yep, maybe you'll get shipping wrong, charge too much, charge too little. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're trying to manufacture something and it arrives and it's completely, all these things, you should be like, oh, great, another mistake.
Yeah, now I know not to do that.
I know. And you get better and better and better. So I want to applaud you so bad.
This is so like full circle too. And it's just like people I think are fearful and scared of making a mistake because, the way our society is, and as women, we're like, you can't mess up. Yes. You got to be perfect. You got to get all A's. And you don't. You're an adult now and you can do what you want.
Exactly. Do it anyway. Like, do it. Don't be gentle with yourself and be patient with yourself. You will get there. You will get there. I'm telling myself too.
I know. Me too. I'm like, I'm going to add that to my whiteboard. Well, Leda, this has been such a great conversation and so inspiring, and what great timing to hear this with, everything's getting nicer outside and we're more optimistic. So it's a good time of year to, put your fear aside and go after your dreams.
Exactly.
So tell everyone, where can they get to know you more and also shop for Woof and Wonder?
Of course, it's super easy. So on my Instagram, it's Woof and Wonder. And on my website, woofandwonder.com, WONDER.com.
Perfect. Awesome.
Find me there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was a blast.
It was such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What did you like most about this episode? Find me on Instagram @TMystic and let me know what intrigued you or what questions you have about starting or growing your own dog-inspired business. You can also screenshot this episode and tag me in your stories. I love to see who is listening out there. Some of the best conversations happen after the episode, right? So track me down over on Instagram or join the Wear, Wag, Repeat Labs Facebook group to connect with other dog-obsessed entrepreneurs. And as always, you can find all the links and resources discussed in this episode at wearwagrepeat.com/podcast. See you back here next week.